In the quiet, unassuming town of Leongatha, Victoria, a place known for its rolling green hills and close-knit community, life usually moves at a gentle, predictable pace. Days unfold with a comforting rhythm, and the unexpected is a rare visitor. But on July 29, 2023, that tranquility was irrevocably broken. What seemed like an ordinary family lunch would shatter that peace, unleashing a series of events that would send shockwaves not only through Leongatha, but across the entire nation of Australia. At the heart of this unfolding tragedy were Don and Gail Patterson, longtime respected members of the Leongatha community. They were joined by Gail's sister, Heather Wilkinson, and her husband Ian, all gathering with the anticipation of a pleasant midday meal. The location for this family get-together was the home of Erin Patterson, their former daughter-in-law, a woman now navigating life after a separation. Erin, recently separated from her husband Simon, was hosting the lunch, taking on the role of chef and hostess. The lunch was planned. A deliberate gesture meant to ease existing family tensions and navigate the complexities that often arise after a marital split. The gathering was intended as a step toward healing and reconciliation, a carefully orchestrated chance to demonstrate that family bonds could remain strong and resilient, even in the aftermath of a marriage ending. It was a testament to their commitment to maintaining relationships despite personal changes. The four guests arrived at Erin's home carrying with them the expectation of a pleasant afternoon filled with good food, warm conversation, and the comforting familiarity of family. Little did they know, as they stepped through the doorway, that a dark and unforeseen tragedy was lurking just around the corner, ready to strike with devastating force. The precise atmosphere within the house that day remains shrouded in mystery and speculation. Was it genuinely warm and convivial? Or was there an undercurrent of tension simmering just beneath the surface, masked by polite smiles and forced conversation? As they gathered around the table, ready to partake in the meal, no one present could possibly have foreseen the catastrophic chain of events that was about to unfold, forever altering their lives and the lives of countless others. The inherent trust placed in a shared meal, a symbol of unity and connection, would soon be irrevocably shattered into a million pieces, leaving the once peaceful town of Leongatha in deep mourning and plunging the entire nation into a state of profound disbelief and shock. This seemingly innocuous lunch, originally intended to foster unity and mend fractured relationships, would tragically become the epicenter of a dark and chilling mystery, a puzzle that continues to captivate and confound. In the intricate tapestry of family relationships, the threads of discord can sometimes become so tangled that they seem impossible to unravel. Erin Patterson found herself in such a situation, yearning to bridge the chasm that had formed between her and her former in-laws. Her primary motivation for organizing the lunch was a heartfelt desire for reconciliation. Above all, she wanted to mend fences with her former in-laws for the sake of her children. She believed that a positive relationship with their grandparents was crucial for their well-being and sense of belonging. The children, caught in the middle of the family's complexities, deserved to experience the love and support of all their relatives. Food, often a symbol of unity, a universal language of love and connection, was her olive branch, a carefully chosen means to extend an invitation to peace. She hoped that sharing a meal together would create a relaxed and convivial atmosphere, fostering open communication and understanding. Don, Gail, Heather, and Ian accepted the invitation, perhaps cautiously optimistic about the prospect of reconciliation. They were hoping to move past the awkwardness of separation, to navigate the complexities of their shared history, and forge a new path forward. The weight of past grievances hung heavy in the air, but the hope for a brighter future lingered. Simon Patterson, Erin's estranged husband, was also invited, a testament to her desire for inclusivity and healing. However, he canceled last minute, a decision that would ripple through the events that followed. This detail would later become crucial, casting a shadow of what could have been, and raising questions about his absence. The lunch became a direct attempt to repair family bonds, a deliberate effort to bridge the divides that had grown over time. Erin was at the center as host and peacemaker, orchestrating the event with the intention of fostering understanding and forgiveness. The stakes were high, the emotional investment significant for everyone involved. Emotions were raw, bubbling beneath the surface, threatening to spill over at any moment, and the future of family interactions hung in the balance, dependent on the success of this delicate gathering. Erin curated the event meticulously, hoping to cook up a new beginning, a fresh start for her family. But what was meant as a gesture of hope, a symbol of goodwill and reconciliation, would soon become a symbol of horror, a chilling reminder of the fragility of life. The meal's aftermath would forever taint the idea of a family gathering, casting a dark shadow over future celebrations. In a cruel twist of fate, the lunch intended for healing would instead bring devastation, leaving an indelible mark of tragedy on the family's history. The centerpiece of the meal was a beef Wellington, an elaborate dish, its mushroom filling hiding a deadly secret. The guests enjoyed the meal, unaware of the poison allegedly lurking within. Hours later, they began to suffer severe gastrointestinal distress far worse than ordinary food poisoning. The suspected culprit, amatoxin, the lethal compound in deathcap mushrooms. The toxin attacks the liver and kidneys, often fatally. Erin claimed she and her children also ate the meal, but only her guests became gravely ill. The beef Wellington, once a symbol of hospitality, became the key clue in a deadly mystery. In the days after the lunch, hope faded as the guests' conditions worsened. Gail Patterson and Heather Wilkinson died within a week, followed by Don Patterson. The community was stunned, 3 beloved figures lost in rapid succession. Ian Wilkinson, the only survivor, spent weeks in a coma, his life saved by a liver transplant. His recovery was hailed as a miracle, but he returned to a world without his wife's sister-in-law or brother-in-law. The tragedy left a void in the community, and a family decimated. The speed and severity of the deaths were almost unimaginable. Ian's survival was bittersweet, a lone witness to a devastating event. The family lunch had become a nightmare, its consequences rippling through the town. The question remained, how could such horror emerge from an act meant to heal? The baffling case surrounding the deadly mushroom lunch continued to unfold, casting a long shadow over the small community. With 3 deaths definitively linked to deathcap mushrooms, the stakes were undeniably high. As the gravity of the situation became clear, police launched a full-scale homicide investigation, meticulously combing through every detail, every statement, and every piece of evidence. The scene was treated with the utmost care, knowing that the smallest clue could be the key to unlocking the truth. The investigation quickly zeroed in, focusing intently on Erin Patterson, the woman who prepared the meal and hosted the ill-fated lunch. Suspicion arose because she was the only adult at the meal who didn't become gravely ill, raising questions about her knowledge of the ingredients and her potential involvement. Erin insisted vehemently that she was a victim too, caught in a nightmare she couldn't comprehend. She maintained her innocence, claiming she'd used a mixture of store-bought and dried mushrooms in the dish. A seemingly innocuous explanation that failed to quell the growing unease. Erin further explained that her own symptoms were mild, attributing them to a different cause and further complicating the narrative. But her story, while presented with conviction, raised serious doubts in the minds of investigators and the public alike. The most pressing question lingered: how could an experienced cook, someone familiar with culinary ingredients, mistakenly use or fail to identify deadly fungi in a meal prepared for loved ones? And perhaps even more perplexing, why were only her guests so severely affected, while she seemingly escaped the worst of the poisoning? As the investigation progressed, Erin later admitted, under questioning, that she'd initially lied to investigators about the mushroom's source, a revelation that further eroded her credibility. Adding another layer of intrigue, she revealed that she disposed of a food dehydrator shortly after the lunch, a seemingly innocuous action that took on a sinister hue in light of the circumstances. This action, the disposal of the dehydrator, immediately drew intense scrutiny from law enforcement, who saw it as a potential attempt to conceal crucial evidence. Was it a moment of panic, a desperate attempt to distance herself from the tragedy, or a calculated move to hide evidence and obstruct the investigation? The mounting contradictions in her statements, coupled with her increasingly suspicious behavior, deepened the sense of unease and cast a long shadow of doubt over her claims of innocence. Detectives now faced a tangled web of conflicting claims, persistent denials, and unsettling inconsistencies, making the already complex case even more challenging to unravel. The initial assessment of the situation, a tragic accident resulting from mistaken identity, began to fade as the evidence pointed in a more sinister direction. The investigation irrevocably shifted from a search for answers to a tragic accident to a relentless search for intent, for a motive, and for the truth behind the deadly mushroom lunch. The discarded food dehydrator became a focal point. Police searched the local tip, eventually recovering the appliance for forensic analysis. Why dispose of it so soon after the tragedy? Erin said she panicked, fearing for her children. To investigators, it looked like an attempt to destroy evidence. Forensic experts examined the dehydrator for traces of deadly mushrooms and toxins. Its recovery was a breakthrough, linking the meal, the poison, and the host. The dehydrator's story, its use, disposal, and recovery, added a dramatic twist. Now, the case was about more than the lunch. It was about what happened after. After months of investigation, police arrested Erin Patterson on November 2, 2023. She was charged with 3 counts of murder and 5 counts of attempted murder, including incidents involving her estranged husband Simon, dating back years. The charges suggested a pattern, not an isolated event. Simon's last-minute absence from the lunch now seemed chillingly significant. Erin appeared in court silent as the charges were read. She was remanded in custody, awaiting trial. The legal process had begun, moving the case from public speculation to the justice system. The committal hearing was set for April 2025. The final chapter of this tragedy was still unwritten. The Leongatha mushroom case gripped Australia, becoming a true crime sensation. Media coverage was relentless, Erin's every word and gesture dissected by the public. Was she a grieving victim or a calculating killer? Opinions were fiercely divided. Erin's public statements only fueled the debate. The case highlighted the power and danger of trial by media. Public opinion formed long before any verdict, complicating the path to justice. The story became a cultural phenomenon, exposing society's fascination with darkness beneath suburbia. The nation watched, obsessed, as the legal battle loomed. The Leongatha mushroom case forces us to confront unsettling questions about trust and betrayal within families. A meal meant to heal became a source of devastation, twisting the idea of reconciliation into tragedy. Was this a catastrophic mistake or a calculated act? The ambiguity haunts everyone touched by the case. It's a reminder that the most shocking stories often emerge from ordinary lives. As the legal process unfolds, we're left to ponder. How do we judge when the line between accident and intent is so thin? The silence from that dining table lingers, echoing with doubt and sorrow. The answers may never bring true closure, but the questions will remain.